J Crisp, this is a tool, yeah, it's a simulation software. It's not really designed as a game. I think maybe when the developers first put it together, I think it was maybe designed to be a game, but they changed it up at some point and made it a simulation software. Because I think the developers are called like Real Games or something, which in my mind kind of sounds like they were intending to make a game. Welcome in everyone, welcome in. How are we all tonight? It seems to be working pretty well for now. I've had a few issues which I think are like related to the simulation, where these boxes don't stop at the same point every time. Sometimes they hang over and actually catch that sensor. But I think it's a simulation thing. I think it's something to do with Factory IO rather than the program itself. How fast can I make it? Very fast, but I think it breaks it when you put it fast, as you can see. So if I run it about 0.5, it seems to work best. Can you show off different machines and sensors available? Yeah, I probably can. Let's have a look. What have we got? I mean, there's a bunch of conveyors. You get all different types of conveyors, corners. There's even some really big ones. Another sort of conveyor. So that there's a pusher, which is the same as what we've got over here. Just extends an arm. Extends and retracts. It's like spring return, so you just need to actually actuate it and it will return itself. You've been struggling with understanding PLCs. You're doing world skills competition in automation. I've never heard of that, OSK. That sounds pretty interesting. My advice would be, if you're really struggling and you can't really get any further on your own, maybe try take a course. There's plenty of them available on places like Udemy and that sort of thing. Pick up some books. Have a look on YouTube. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. And just practice. It's called Factory IO, J Crisp. What else we got? So, some sort of corner there. Another conveyor type, I think. Sensors. Got a capacitive sensor. Inductive sensor. Photo eyes. Diffuse type. What else we got? What's this? A light array, so you can see the beams. There's multiple photo eyes in this, I guess. I'm assuming that's the other side. So you can make like a gate. That's to detect the height of an object, to detect how big it is. What's this? RFID reader. That's interesting. I've never done anything with any RFID before, so that'd be interesting to see. Ayo, welcome back, mate. How are you tonight? Appreciate you showing up this weekend. Another, just a digital display, potentiometer, selector switch, push buttons, start, reset, stop. Not sure what that one is. Oh, that's an illuminated push button. That's just a normal push button. There's a big CNC. I'll have to make some space. A big robotic CNC enclosure type thing. I've not done anything with that one. I'm not sure really how you work that one. This looks pretty big. I'm not sure what that is. Jesus, what is that? A crane or something? Stacker. Yeah, I've not done nothing with that either. What's this one? Palletizer. What's that? Alarm siren. Beacon. Warning light. There's I think that's for the elevators. There's an elevator scene which I've had a look at. And I think you put the conveyors on whatever row you want. Light guard to protect unwanted entry to dangerous moving parts. Yeah, the enclosure, the cage, yeah, I guess it would be, yeah. But I mean, in terms of how you program it and stuff, I'm not sure really what it does. Whether you need to program this robot as well, I don't think so. I guess that would kind of just work. But this obviously has some status along with it. It's got its own little control panel on it. What else do you get? Some fences and stuff. I'm not sure really what that is. Yeah, it's got loads of stuff in it. Another safety door. Yeah, you can build your own factories in it. I guess, you know, you're quite limited in what you can do, but there's a fair few amount of parts there. There's some more stuff that I didn't show as well.
Thanks for the follow.
Gillies, it's not, buddy. No, it's a licensed software. Right, need to delete all this now. This is Ultimate Edition, I think. There is like a starter edition, which is a lot cheaper, but you can't connect external PLCs to it. You have to use like the inbuilt PLC editor. I've not tried that, to be fair. I don't really know how that works. Just get rid of all these sensors. Aob, yes, I'm good, thank you, buddy. I'm good. Thanks for asking. You got one of the PLC boxes. I have plenty of physical PLCs, but that's not what I'm using to run this. Siemens TIA Portal has its own simulation software for simulating a PLC, and Factory IO can talk to that simulation software. So I don't actually need a physical PLC. I have got one, and I've got a Siemens S7-1200 in my office. Right, I think we're good. We've deleted everything, haven't we? Yeah. Janitor Tech, welcome in, mate. Thank you for sharing the live. Otto Robotics, thank you for the follow. Yeah, it's not cheap, mate. It's not cheap, but it's an industrial tool. It's not really made for, you know, like the everyday hobbyist or whatever. It's pretty pricey. You do need to pay for it, mate. Yes, you do. You can get it on subscription, so it's cheaper. But like I say, it's not really made for like at home. It's more for like at work.
Thanks for the follow.
GXWorks 2 probably does work on it because it has a number of drivers. I wonder if I can show you this. You can see that. Has a number of drivers. It's pretty small for you. You probably can't see it that well. Mostly Allen Bradley and Siemens, but it also has Modbus TCP drivers. So providing you can set up your Mitsubishi PLC with Modbus, yeah, you can get it to work. All right. I don't Kara Tarakis. I don't, to be fair, mate. Nikola Tesla, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Let's run this. Press start button. How's everyone doing tonight? Last night we attempted to program this, or at least I did. I don't think I was in the right frame of mind for it. I was a bit tired. Couldn't quite grasp my head around the parallel conveyors at the time. I was trying to do it as a sequencer. It wasn't really working. So I spent a few hours today doing it off stream. I've not used a sequencer to do it, and we'll go through what I've done. I think I've commented most things that I went through and did. Anything I haven't commented, I can probably just look at and put some comments to. Yes, True Talks. I do have a YouTube channel. In my bio on TikTok, you'll find there's a link tree link which shows all my social media. Can you use CodeSys with it? I don't think you can. I'm not sure, but I don't think you can. Because it basically, the factory IO needs to speak to the simulation part of the software. The guys who made factory IO have kind of made it available so it will work on Siemens, but I don't know about CodeSys, I'll be honest. I would guess not, probably. So this scene that we're doing now is literally just these two green arrows you can see here. These are called emitters, and basically they just generate a box, and it's totally random. It's either going to be a a green box or a blue box. And what I'm doing is detecting the color of the box with these sensors here, and then basically sorting them. So blues come down the right hand side, greens come down the left hand side. And as it goes, it counts up the number of blues and greens. I think 1 is the blues, 2 is the greens. You can see that, yeah. Yeah, and that's about it. But this isn't what I do as a day job. I don't do like factory automation and stuff. So I found this pretty difficult, I'll be honest. I would say this is quite an advanced one, at least for me. I didn't like all the others. I've managed not easily, but I've managed relatively well. But this one, I struggled with this one. Like it was much more difficult than I thought it was going to be. What's the best way to learn about designing safety equipment like robot cells? Honestly, Torres, I'm not sure, mate. It's not really the field that I work in, so I don't know what the right and wrong way to do that sort of thing is. What do I do as a day job? I'm a design engineer, so I design control panels and I design low voltage switchgear, like big switchboards and stuff, for the power generation industry. So most of the control panels I do are either controlling diesel generators or hydro turbines. I also do a lot of power management stuff where we basically manage multiple sources of supply, say like diesels and hydro and solar and battery energy storage. Yeah, that's what I kind of do. Joe Mesrufa, I'm assuming that's the Joe Mesrufa I know. You're right, I am, mate, you're right, thank you for that. Going to Pills course is a good start. Yeah, that is a good shout, to be fair, it's a good shout.
Thanks for the follow.
Torres, appreciate the follow, thank you, buddy. Used to work on diesel generators, now work in material handling factory automation. Ah, nice, Tommy, nice. Yeah, like I say, this isn't the sort of thing that I normally do at work, so it's interesting to do it though, because like there's a different way of thinking about stuff that I've found. Joe, Big Joe, thank you to follow, mate, appreciate it. Yeah, but we got it going, and I guess we'll take a look through what I did to get it going. So let me pause it because the noise is annoying. Right.
Thanks for the follow.
We can also go live as well. There's probably no point in a minute since I've paused the simulation. Kojo, thank you for the follow, mate. Appreciate that. PLC in tier. Oh yeah, sorry. It's a Siemens S7 1200. Is there? That's interesting to know, Dommy. Whereabouts are you from? Are you working like smart home type stuff and BMS? I think that's what Loxon does, isn't it? Is it Loxon? I think, yeah. But you want to learn industrial as well? Yeah. I've not done anything with BMS, I'll be honest. I don't know a lot about it. I know you get controllers like Loxon, Trend, Schneider, stuff like that. Ah, Stoke and Trent, yeah. That's interesting to know, Dommy, yeah. KNX as well, yeah, KNX. Netherlands, interesting. We had, I think Jordski's from over in the Netherlands. He's in these live streams most of the time. Anyway, we'll go into what I did. So the main OB1 isn't really doing much except for resetting the simulation. So every time I press the stop button, I want it to go back to a known state. This stop button up here, so I'm not simulating. I want it to reset everything basically. All the latches that I've got I want to set all the counters to 0. I want to, yeah, basically just reset everything back to default. And that's what this run does. It's just one long run of resetting stuff back to 0. So I don't usually like to have set reset coils. I found in the past it can get messy and you can have multiple coils all over the shop and it's just a nightmare to work with. However, doing this, I found I really needed them, so I've used a fair few. But I've not used them more than once. I've used a reset more than once. I've got 2 resets. So like a functional reset and like a reset when I've stopped the simulation. So when I press the stop button. But there's only one set. So I've tried to split the programming of this into, how can I show you that best? Hang on a sec. I tried to, split the program as best as I can into separate OBs, separate POUs. So we're going to go through them. But if I have to pull it back, else it ends up going real small. So, first OB, the entry conveyor control. And this is all to do with the first conveyor belt. So, this conveyor belt and this conveyor belt, both of those two have their own OB. And if I zoom in a little bit, you should be able to see it a bit better. Pull that back a bit. There we go. Hey, do you work in BMS as well? Right, let's go to the very top. So the first thing we need to do when we're starting is we need to get these conveyors running. Obviously the block spawns in, the block's generated, but it needs to be able to move to the sensor. So the first thing that I do is when the sensor has no block underneath it, that's when I say there's no block present. And from there, on the no block present somewhere, here. Oh, I do a little bit more first. Hang on, I do a little bit more first. So I've got the no block present, and you'll find a lot of these rungs are duplicated because we've got 2 conveyors. So I've got one for sensor 1 and conveyor 1. I've got one for sensor 2 and conveyor 2. My Saturday nights have changed, Joe. My Saturday nights have changed, mate. GP Motomax, thank you for the follow, appreciate it. Mechatronics, I think you did tell me that actually, yeah. Right. So, no blocks present. I have this selection counter is basically what you'll find if I run it now, press the start button, is it changes over which block goes on. So this is the first block to go on. The next time round it'll be this block, and then it will change back to this block, and it'll just keep cycling like that, one after the other after the other. So what I have done is I've put together a counter. This was based on George Ski's advice last night. Set a counter and do a modulo on it, which is basically if you divide it. Danny Appleby as well, welcome in, mate. Felix, thank you to follow. Yeah, so what you do is you're basically dividing it by 2, but you're only looking at the remainder. And if you've got the number 3, you're going to have the remainder of 1. If you have the number 4, you're going to have 0 remainder. So basically it's going to keep going from 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1. So that's what we're looking at there. In fact, if I put this live while it's paused, you'll be able to see some data. I do have a YouTube, mate, yes. The link is in my bio on TikTok. If you go on my profile, the link tree's there, and it has all the social media on there. But I only have a live stream on TikTok. Felix, I don't know if I said that, but thank you for the follow. Okay, so you can see we've got the number 3 there. This is just a continuous counter. It just counts up every time there's a block present underneath the sensor. In fact, it's whenever there's a block present on one of these 2 conveyors. Right. So that number is just going to keep ticking up. But all we're doing with that number is dividing it by 2 and looking at the remainder. If there's a remainder of 1, then it's going to be one side.
Thanks
if there's
for
a
the
remainder of
follow.
0, there's going to be on the other side. Desavad. Still don't know how to say your name, mate, but welcome in, buddy. Hope you're good. What would be more beneficial to learn, ladder or structured text? I think both is beneficial to learn, to be fair, mate. Ladder's definitely the most popular by far, but structured text is becoming more and more of a thing.
Thanks for the follow.
Why? Appreciate the follow. Thank you, mate. GVBI, thank you for the follow. Fabricio, thank you for the follow.
Thanks
Sorry
for the
about some of
follow.
these names. I can't pronounce them all very well. Right. Yeah, so that's what this is doing. It's just literally, it's either on or it's off. So we're using that remainder, whether it's a 1 or a 0, to turn this bit on and off. And that's doing the changeover between conveyors. The next, I have like a permit block to enter separator conveyor. That's what I've called it. But basically what that's saying is, once the blocks have stopped, if all them logical conditions are true, we're going to allow that block to move over to the next conveyor. And what I do that on is the selector, whether the selector's on or off. So this selector that I was just talking about, this changeover. For conveyor 1, it needs to be true. For conveyor 2, it needs to be false. And that's how I do the changeover. There needs to be a blue or a green block present. There needs to be no block present on the other side. So we don't push this block over until this side is already free. Because if you do that, then you're just going to end up crashing the 2 blocks into each other. Afternoon learning control. Can I go down to learn PLC? I'm not sure what you're asking there, mate. Right, and then right, so that's, yeah, basically that second conveyor, that the next part has to be free. There has to be no reset on. Obviously, like I said, every time I stop the simulation, I'm resetting everything back to default, which means cutting off some of these latches. So that's not really doing anything. So it's more about the selector has to be on, there has to be a block present, and there has to be nothing on the next conveyor. Can you simulate jams? I can make jams. So what I've found is if I run this at full speed, it just the physics simulation in Factory.io always stops these blocks too far forward. Colonel Sanders, thank you for the heart me, mate. Good day to you, mate. How are you? Yeah, Pinder wasn't so bad. I didn't learn this at Pinder, mate. I learned all this on the job. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, Pinder. What? Yeah, those were the days. Okay. So, yeah, that was basically there has to be space in front of the block. I was also talking about the simulation, the physics. If I run this at full speed, these blocks stop at different points. So they all should stop about where they are now. But when I run it at full speed, it kind of varies. Some are a bit further back, some are a bit further forward. And I think it's all to do with how Factory.io runs the motors. I don't really know what it is. But if I run this dead fast, you'll see it jam up. So it's working fine at the moment. I'm running this at half speed, by the way, because it does sometimes do it at full speed. But if I go to 4 times speed, you're going to see it jam up fairly quickly. It just all goes wrong. You can see it doesn't really work anymore. And that's because these blocks are just stopping too late. So let me put that back to half. Reset the simulation altogether. Press my start button. And it should just work. Yeah, it's the Factory.io like physics or something. How do you calculate inertia of items? Haven't needed to do any of that in this, mate. They're just empty boxes. Start it, bro. I want to see. Yeah. I'll start it. I was just running through basically how it works. Any chance you can make tutorials for beginners on CodeSys? I could. I need to get back to making the videos. Since I started doing the live streams, I've kind of let the videos slip a little bit. I'm not making as many as I should be, as many as I used to. So I need to get back to that. And making some videos on CodeSys might be the way forward. Rick TB, thank you to follow. K Hi, I'm sorry, can't pronounce your name. Thank you to follow. Lewis, it's not a game, mate. This is a simulation software, like for industrial applications. JAC, thank you to follow. Guy, thank you for sharing the live, mate. Really appreciate that. It does, yeah. It's not free, mate. It costs quite a lot of money, and you do need some knowledge. You do. Yeah, it doesn't just work by itself. I've had to program all this. Yeah, so that's it running, and it just keeps going and going, counting up how many blocks passes through. I can stop it if I want. I'll stop it. That was probably a bad time to stop it. I'll stop it there. No. If you stop it over a sensor, there's a good chance it might break it. Miss Logical Controls, thank you for the super fan. Obviously, that's my missus. By the way, guys, that's just reminded me. TikTok, I think for the next like 30 days, is doing half price super fans. So if you're interested, now's a good time to join. If you have any issues or questions, or you just want to ask me some stuff, I'll definitely prioritize the super fans. El Guerrero, I think. I'm sorry if I've butchered your name. Appreciate the share, thank you. Colonel Sanders, thank you for the 10 GGs. Hopefully I've sorted the sound this time. Yes, I've sorted it. Because every time I was getting like multiple gifts, it just wasn't, it was just playing the music over and over and over and over. But it feels like I've sorted it now. I appreciate that, Colonel Sanders. Thank you for that, mate. You've gone straight to the top of the leaderboard. Yeah, so that's basically how it works. I can stop and start it, however, you know, at will. If I bang the E-stop in, it'll just break everything. Nothing works anymore. Everything should have totally stopped. And if then I put it back, you have to then start again for it to start working. Patrick, thank you to follow. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the likes as well, by the way. There is, up here, there is a little leaderboard for likes as well. The more likes, you can get top 3. Right, okay. So, back to the programming then. That's how it works. We got up to basically start, yeah, moving the block over to the other conveyor. Like I said, pretty much everything's duplicated because we have 2 conveyors. We have 2 sides. So when it comes to this entry conveyor, which just to remind you is these 2 here, and these 2 sensors, and these 2 sensors down here. I think you can see that. That one there, and that one there. Everything's kind of duplicated because it needs to be. I could have made a function block or something and just kept reusing that, but I didn't. It was hard enough as it was. You could have made a lot of money if you thought of training PLC. Yeah, Alban, I don't know what it is. I just don't feel like that's something I want to do. I don't really want to go down the training route. A lot of people do ask me, do I do training? Do I do one-to-ones and all that sort of thing? I like doing TikTok because there's no pressure. I can do it when I want. I can stop when I want. But if you start charging people for courses and stuff like that, you have to, well, firstly you need to do the training, but then you kind of got a level of responsibility where you need to make sure they're up to a certain standard. That's what I feel like anyway. So it's just something I've avoided and probably will try and avoid. Yeah, okay. So that was the logic for how all this stuff works. These rungs are basically the actual output to the motor. So this Q00, that is the motor itself. If that goes on, the motor runs. So all that logic was just coming up to this point where we decide when we run it or when we don't. So if there's no block present, we need to run it. as I explained earlier, if I restart this, when the blocks first come in, they need to get from where they are to at least the sensor so we know what colour it is to then make the further decisions. So at the moment they're just sat there because I need to press the start button, which is process run. So yeah, at the moment it's just waiting for me to press the start button before it moves that conveyor and brings them blocks to that sensor.
Thanks for the follow.
Appreciate the follows, guys. Dzvad, thank you for the follow. Suz, thank you for the follow. Moo, thank you for the follow. Janitor Tech, thank you for sharing the live, mate. Appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, this is just a standard latch. You've seen me do this a million times if you've been here before. I just need to move that a little bit further in, don't I? Because you can't quite see the wrong. That's better, that's better. Yeah, it's a standard latch. It just has 2 points that delatch it. One's resetting the simulation, the other one is the start and stop button. So if there's no block present, we run the conveyor, but we also only run the conveyor when we permit the block 1 exit, which was this logic up here that I just showed. So that's how we do the motor, the entry conveyor running. That's that bit. Aiden B, thank you to follow. David Whitcomb, or Whitcomb, thank you to follow. Mega Entertainment, thank you to follow. Appreciate that, guys. So let's do the start button stuff. That was the entry conveyor. Let's look at the control panel itself. That obviously needs some logic behind it to get running. We'll take a look at that. It's fairly straightforward. So I've put that in its own OB as well.
Thanks for the follow.
And an OB is just like its own little program. They all still run sequentially, but it kind of breaks it up. Appreciate that, David. Thank you for the heart, mate. From Nairobi, Kenya, watching keenly. Welcome in, Billy. Welcome in, mate. Okay, so this is the process run bit that I was just telling you about. Let me put that into monitor mode. So to get the process run bit on, which is quite an important bit that runs all the logic. Most of the logic relies on the process run bit being on. We need to press the start button. The stop button can't be pressed. So the stop button is a normally closed contact, like physically into the PLC is a normally closed switch. If it was a normally open, we'd need that as a logical normally closed, but at the moment it's a logical normally open because the physical contact is normally closed. David, I was just explaining that a minute ago. I don't really do training or courses or anything. The best thing I can offer is if you're a super fan of on TikTok, then I can try and give any advice that you have. You know, if you've got any questions, I'll try and answer them. I'll try and give you as much time as I can, really. Dennis, thank you to follow. Mazki, thank you to follow. Eugen, thank you to follow. And Sitchi, I think, thank you to follow. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Is this actually a proper program which is used for real-life process system? It could be. It could be, providing the process is a sortation conveyor. So that program that I'm showing is running this very simulation. So all the logic in the background that I was just showing there is what's doing all this. And I can show you that live. So you can see the process runs on. Let's have a look at the pusher control or something. Go into monitor mode, make it a bit bigger for you. So you can see that logic's running. The software for the simulation is called Factory IO. Want to get? Oh, sorry, hang on. You want to get into PLC and mainly Mitzi stuff? Yeah, Mitzi's like my bag. Siemens isn't really my bag. So this has all been a bit of a learning curve for me. All the Siemens stuff. Mitsubishi is what I use mostly. So I'm not too bad with the Mitsubishi stuff, but the Siemens stuff I'm still kind of learning myself. Code and Tech, thank you for the follow. 64QAM, thank you to follow. Tastical, I think. Thank you for the follow. MNI, thank you to follow. G-Man, thank you to follow. Appreciate it. Yeah, all good, thanks, Joe. Hope you're well, mate. Take it easy. Thanks for joining tonight, by the way. Is this a game or work? It's for work, yeah. You would use this to simulate your real-life logic. You can build... Not like... This is a scene, like a predefined scene by the company who made the software. But there's no reason why you can't build your own. You can drag in your own conveyors. And what else? Put your own sensors on. What's that? Well, that's more of a visual thing, I think. But you can put your own light sensors on for detecting the height of an object and that sort of thing. I don't think I've quite lined them up right, have I? No. There we go. Yeah, so I'll just quickly whip that together. It doesn't really fit, but you can build your own. So you can design a factory. So if you're doing this in real life, you can design that factory as close to the real life one as possible. Program it all, simulate it all, test it all before you even get to site. Would you say there's a big difference? Aiden, I would say there's a big difference. Yeah, I've found Siemens a little bit of a struggle. It's very, very different. I mean, in terms of how you do things, ultimately, PLC logic is PLC logic. Ladder's ladder, structured text. You know, they're all built around a standard, so they all kind of work in the same way. It's just how you do certain things. Siemens does very differently to Mitsubishi. Do you know anywhere that does good online training for a newbie for Mitsi? Not online, no. If you want, like, I only really know of BPX who are like a what's the word? Why is my brain gone blank? Like an automation vendor. They provide training for Mitsubishi, but it's like in-class training. You have to go to their spot. You play Factorio, so this seems like fun. Yeah, this is Factorio in real life, basically. That's what this is. Sorry, I missed a few comments there. You're a refrigeration engineer and you want to get into PLCs, and most of your PLCs are Mitsi. I guess what I would recommend is there is some good books on Mitsubishi PLCs. Maybe pick those up. I would say try and get hold of the Mitsubishi software. It is licensed, but there are ways and means. Have a practice. There's plenty of stuff on YouTube for Mitsubishi PLCs. Yeah, that's my number one sort of recommendation all the time is get a book, get some software, practice, watch YouTube videos if you get stuck, practice more. This software is called Factory.io. Are there any tutorials for Factory.io? I think there are on YouTube. I believe there are. And the guys who made Factory.io, Real Games I think they're called, they have videos. So one thing I was struggling with when I first started messing around with Factory.io, which was only a few weeks ago, was knowing how they're supposed to work. Because you don't get it's not a game. You don't get no instructions, you don't get no objectives. You get, there's predefined scenes and you kind of just have to work it out for yourself. But what I found is Real Games, who make Factory.io, they do put very short videos, like 20-30 second videos of that particular scene running. So you can kind of see how things are supposed to work by watching what they've done. They obviously don't show you the programming side, but you don't need to. That's the fun bit. You're going to do the programming side. You just want to know how it works, or at least that's what I felt like. Some of these scenes, I'm like, well, it's all great, but what is it supposed to do? Like, what is that I'm looking at? Because I don't work in factory automation, so I don't really know how a lot of this stuff is supposed to work. Yeah. Bradley and Mitzi the best. Siemens is awful. I've not worked with much Alan Bradley, to be fair, Cam, so I can't really comment on the Alan Bradley thing, but yeah, I agree, Mitzi is the best. Even though I've been using the Siemens, and I don't mind it, I am getting there with it, it's just very different. Yeah, I prefer Mitzi, yeah. How do you address the color detection sensors? Yeah, well, let's get to that then, because I've skipped over a little bit. In fact, we'll finish off what we're doing with the control panel. So just to finish that off, we obviously have the process run bit. That's the important bit. We latch it up off itself. We stop it on the stop button, on the emergency stop, and if we reset the simulation. If the process run bit is running, the start light, which is on the push button itself, lights up. These are illuminated push buttons. The black one's a bit rubbish, you can't really see that. If the process run bit isn't on, then the stop light one's on, which is the black one. If I press the reset button, then I reset simulation, as well as putting the reset light on, as well as this bit here. This bit is from Factory IO itself, so whenever you press the play button, the Factory IO running bit closes. Omo, appreciate the heart, me. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate that. Right, so that's that. I obviously have the counter. The counter is fairly simple. That's just whenever a block passes either this sensor, this pusher 1 exit, or pusher 2 exit, on the negative edge. So as the block passes by, the sensor goes true, but I don't count it until the block has actually passed by. So that's what this counter's doing. I've got a one shot. In fact, that one shot's on the P, and so is that. I'm not sure why I've done that. I thought I'd done it on the N, which is the negative. So actually, it's when, as soon as the beam is broken by the box, is when I count. The counter here is actually the physical meter on the control panel, and like I say, everything's kind of doubled up because there's two sides. So that's the control panel done. There's not a lot going on there. Let's go to the color detection. So that's what you were just asking about. I don't do E in the USA, mate. No, I'm in the UK, Jay. Let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. So let's go live. How do I determine what color is what? So the vision sensor itself has an analog output, or rather, it's not an analog output. It's a processed output. It gives a number. It gives an integer number back depending on what's below it. So at the moment, we're getting the number 0, I would imagine, because there's nothing below it. So yeah, vision sensor, it is an integer value. If that value is 0, then we energize the no block bit, because there's no block there. So, and what we do with that is basically start the conveyor going to get a block underneath. If we get a 1, so when there's a blue block underneath it, the vision sensor would give the number 1. If it gives the number 1, then we energize the blue block bit. If we get a number 4, that is a green block. Now I had to find this out through trial and error. I didn't know what colours they were initially, or what colours gave what numbers. So there was a little bit of trial and error, but 1 is blue, 4 is green. Eddie, thank you for the follow. Mohammed, thank you for the follow. Osvaldo, thank you for the follow. K Frimpong, thank you for sharing the live, mate. I really appreciate that. Islam, thank you for the follow. Joel, thank you for the follow. And I think I've caught up. Yeah, if anyone wants to join the Discord, so at the end of this live stream, I will upload this program and the Factory IO scene. So providing you've got Tia Portal version 20, providing you've got Factory IO, you'll be able to just import those into your Factory IO into your portal. I'll upload those to the Discord at the end of the stream, or once I finish the stream. So if you want to get hold of those files, join the Discord. The link is in my bio. Just click on my profile on TikTok. There's a Linktree link, and it has all my social media on there. What software? So this software is called Factory IO, this simulation software. And this software is called Siemens TIA Portal, which is the PLC programming software for Siemens PLCs. Can you use a robotic arms with a PLC? Yeah, I believe you can. I believe you can. I don't do robotics, so I'm not 100% sure. I think you get specific, like, bespoke robotic controllers, I think. But a lot of them can be programmed with a PLC, yeah. You spent far too many hours on this for demonstrators in OT security. Love and hate relationship. What's that? Is that Siemens TIA Portal or is that Factory IO? You don't need to spend money to learn. Just cheap PLCs and play with it. You don't. Yeah, I agree, Ayob. And you don't even need a PLC actually. If you download Codesys or CodeSys, I don't really know the proper pronunciation of it. That's totally free. You can program just like I am here. You can simulate just like I am here. You can design HMIs, which I haven't done yet, in Siemens. That's going to be next on my list, I think. I need to work out how to do the HMIs in Siemens. But you can do all that in CodeSys, and it's totally free. It doesn't cost you a penny. So you don't actually need a PLC. It would be good once you get the foundations nailed down. You've learnt the basics. If you can pick up a cheap PLC, and there's a lot of knockoff Mitsubishi PLCs on stuff like AliExpress or eBay and stuff like that. You know,
Thanks for the follow.
they're not genuine Mitsubishi PLCs, but they do work with the Mitsubishi software. They do perform like a Mitsubishi PLC, but they're much, much cheaper. You would never put one like on a customer's site. You would never install one in a job, but they'll be good for learning. Do I speak in French? I don't, Eddie. No, I don't. I'm afraid. No. I was thinking, what French words do I know? Oui. That's about as good as I know. Fromage, I think. Yeah, that's it. I don't speak French. This feels like industrial engineering or ME more than EE. Mechanical engineering? Is that what you mean by ME?
Thanks for the follow.
I guess maybe it is more industrial engineering. It's automation. It's industrial automation. Like, we're automating this process. We have all these actuators, sensors, and that sort of thing. We're putting together a PLC program to make it work. Are you currently on this project? Are you K Frimpong? Is this what you're doing? Caleb Dodds, thank you for the shares, mate. I appreciate that.
Thanks for the
Ben
follow.
Zawus, I think. I'm sorry, I probably didn't pronounce it right. Thank you for the
Thanks
follow.
For the follow.
Carmen, thank you for sharing the live. I really appreciate that. Matt
Thanks for the follow.
Duhem, I think. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that.
Thanks for the
ABT
follow.
Siemens. Don't know what ABT stands for,
Thanks
but
for
it
the
is Siemens.
follow.
Siemens TIA Portal, TIA Portal. And for anyone new who's just joined in, we have already programmed it. It does already work. We are at 50% simulation speed, just so it doesn't break, because the physics isn't great. Alberto, thank you to follow. Wise, thank you to follow. Juank, I think, thank you to follow. Zans, thank you to follow. Omni Bomber, I think, thank you to follow. Appreciate that. What's the program called? This program's called Factory IO. I should know it because I've said it so many times. I should say it in my sleep, but no, yeah, this is called Factory IO. Do I know Siemens NX? Can you do the same even if you can design your own machine from zero? I don't know Siemens NX, Ayob. Yeah, I'm not sure. The only Siemens I know is TIA Portal, and I don't even know that very well. I'm still learning that myself. I did Siemens TIA Portal back in college, more than 10 years ago, I'd say now. It's probably 11. But it was only at college level. You know, I wasn't going into great detail with it. And once I finished
Thanks for the follow.
that like part of the course, I never went back to it. I haven't touched it again until maybe like 2 months ago. Maybe not even that long, a month and a half ago, when I bought a Siemens S7 1200. And from then, I've decided to try and get back into it. I've seen that Factory IO works pretty well with it, so that's kind of what made me go down the Factory IO route. Like, for me, in order for me to learn something, I need to have an objective and I need to have a goal. I can't just aimlessly play with something. I have to have like a goal in mind for me to really focus on it and try and learn. So the Factory IO thing has worked really, really well for me, learning Siemens. I'm still not the best. I'm kind of probably less than your average Siemens programmer, I would say, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Siemens NX is CAO software, like
Thanks for
SolidWorks.
the follow.
Oh, sorry. I kind of was aware that Siemens had like a design software. Is that the digital twin one where you design like factories in it, and it's like hundreds of thousands of pounds or something? I've heard of it. Yeah. No, I've never touched anything like that, mate. No, I use AutoCAD electrical. So I use that to design the circuits, but also I use that to 3D model my control panels. There's been some more followers. Spock, I think. You've got a long name, but Spock, thank you for the follow. And Petrisaur, I think, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Millie, it's not a game. This is a simulation software for industrial automation. It's called Factory IO, but it isn't a game. JPR Controls and Automation, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Tectonic Pulse, thank you for the follow as well. Right, so that's basically how it works. Let's go back to the programming side. The color detection. That's what we were talking about. So yeah, the sensor gives a different value depending on what color block is sat beneath it. So currently, I would say this Vision Sensor 2, which is this one, should have the number 4, and or if it's actually still under it, I think it is. And Vision Sensor 1 should have the number 1, because 4 is a green, 1 is a blue. So there's Vision Sensor 1 with the blue underneath it, got a 1. And Vision Sensor 2, it's showing 0, but it must have passed by. I don't know what the actual range of this thing is, but it would have been 4 when it was a green. We'll go back to that. So yeah, I'm basically just determining the color, setting a bit. So a no block, blue block, green block, all for both sensors. I then remember that block. So what I found was it's no good just setting a bit while it's below it. You do need to remember that value. By the time you cross over onto the box crosses over onto the second conveyor, you need to have remembered what color it was to know whether it needs pushing onto the other side or not. You've played with Siemens NX. You have to have a very good compilation. Like a good computer, you mean, I guess. You need to have a powerful computer to run it. Yeah, because I think you can, like, yeah, computer. You need to have, like, you're basically designing full factories and stuff in it, aren't you? Yeah, I imagine there's pretty heavy. It's a pretty high load on your computer. Yeah, so you need to remember the color. So it's no good just detecting the color at this point. You kind of need to remember so you know whether the pusher needs to come out or not. Right, next. So that's what these are doing. These are remembering the value of the block or the color of it. The value being number 1 is blue, number 4 is green. And that's all we do for the color detection. So next we go on to the separator conveyor control. So that is the control of the other conveyor now. Right. So we did the entry conveyor. That was this one. We've done the color detection. That's these sensors basically. So we also need to control these 2 conveyors. Now these are separate conveyors. They're not the same conveyor, so you do need to control them individually. Let's go into that. I seem to remember this was probably quite a big program, I think. We'll go live. I need a drink. I'm doing too much talking. Yeah, appreciate that, Mr. Logical Controls. If everyone can just tap their screen and get the likes up, I'd really appreciate that. If you do a lot of tapping, you'll be able to get up on the leaderboard with Giles or Gilles, I think, Mark, and obviously Mrs. Logical Controls, whose finger must be absolutely on fire by now. Give the others a chance. And Mark, I'm sure you made the leaderboard yesterday. I appreciate it, mate. Thank you for the likes. Okay, so the second conveyor. Sensor 1. If a block goes over sensor 1, we need to start the conveyor. So sensor 1 is this sensor down here. So once this block passes over it, that's the point where we need to start this second conveyor. If you don't, the block just hits the conveyor, and they all the boxes that come behind just start jamming up. So the minute the box comes over that sensor, we need to start this conveyor. I do believe I stop the conveyor once the box has passed over the sensor. So once this sensor goes false again, that's when we stop the conveyor, just so we can sit it right in front of the pusher, ready for whether it needs pushing or not. Do you also create any HMI in WinCC? I haven't touched WinCC yet. No, I haven't done any of the HMI stuff in Siemens as of yet. That's probably going to be the next thing that I'm going to start looking at. I'm still learning Siemens myself, but I do want to start looking at the HMI side of things, because I do believe that's like CodeSys or MITSI or any of them. It can interact with the software. You know, if I simulate the PLC in PLC Sim, I believe the HMI can also work with PLC Sim, and they can kind of talk to each other, and I don't need any physical hardware, because I actually don't have a Siemens HMI. Okay, so yeah, we start the conveyor once that box goes over that sensor. So you'll see that box currently is going over that sensor, and we will have started that conveyor because of that. And that was a set bit. So like I mentioned at the start, I don't know if anyone was still here when I mentioned it, I don't like using set reset bits. I'd much prefer to create my own latch so I can see all the logic that starts and stops it in one go. Because with set reset, you know, they can kind of be all over the place. But I did find for this project, for this simulation, it was pretty tricky to not do that. I needed to use the set reset bits. So I did, yeah, I did basically. And whenever I use a set reset bit, I do try and make sure it's either a positive edge trigger or a negative edge trigger. HMI side of it is very simple, very user friendly. Just use tab grabs and it works.
Thanks for the follow.
Just one click and you run the HMI on your computer. Yeah, that's what I kind of understood as well. So that's what I'm going to look at next. I just haven't got around to it yet. Yeah, because I like stuff like that. I like when I don't need it to set up any hardware, and I can just, you know, play with it through software. That for me is the easiest, so that's what I like to do, yeah. If you want to link to iOS from program to HMI, then use the tag list making the actions. Yeah, I'll look into it all at some point, RQ, I will. And I'll maybe do a live stream once I've figured out the basics. I'll maybe do a live stream on it or something. Chris Co, thank you to follow. Jay, thank you to follow. Appreciate it, guys. Okay, so we started the conveyor once the box went over the sensor.
Thanks for the follow.
And we stopped the conveyor once the box has passed. So this is what I was saying. On the positive edge, so once this box goes over that sensor, on the rising edge of that signal, we start the conveyor. Once the back of the box has passed over it, on the negative edge, we stop the conveyor. Just so this box, so if I just unpause this, that didn't need to go over actually. Neither does that. We might have to wait until a box actually needs to stop over the pusher. There we go. Oh, in fact, it was there. This will do it as well. After this one.
Thanks for the follow.
Appreciate the follows, guys. Thank you for that. So you see the conveyor stopped at that point. The conveyor stopped once the box had passed over on the negative edge. And that was to basically stop the box almost directly in front of the pusher. So that's what that bit does. So sensor 1, this is conveyor 1. Yeah. Once the box has passed over, we stop. But also, if the blue one on the other side has passed over, then we need to stop this one as well, just so we can do the push. And we also set a block present. So, going back a little bit, I was talking about how we needed to stop the boxes on this conveyor if there was a block present on this side, because if you don't, they're just going to crash into each other. So we are also setting a bit called conveyor 1 block present, and that basically stops that first conveyor so it doesn't push a block on while there's already a block there. WCS, I'm not sure what that means, mate. Fered, thank you to follow. Janko, thank you to follow. Comban, I think, thank you to follow. Appreciate it, guys. Lois, thank you to follow. Or Lois, something like that. Yeah, thank you to follow. Appreciate that, mate. Right. So that did that bit. Block is present at conveyor 1. The block has left conveyor 1. Okay, so the next thing then is either the pusher comes out. When the pusher comes out and pushes the box across, once it's fully extended, we know there's a block no longer present on this conveyor. Or, so I'm just trying to remember what this is doing. Green block pushed over. Yeah, so that's it. So what we need to do is when this pusher arm, it fully extends, we know there's not a block here anymore. And that's basically what we're saying is we're resetting the block present bit if there's no longer a block on there because it's been pushed over. Or if a box has passed the exit sensor, which is this one here. So in either scenario, so once the block is in this position, we set a block bit, like we set a bit that says there's a block on the other side, stop this box from going over. And we reset that bit when either this box that was here has been pushed over to the other side, or if it's a blue box in this case, if the blue box has passed by this sensor down here. Oh, warehouse control system. Ah, I see. It's a sortation conveyor, I think. Separator conveyor, I think is the proper term. It's basically, there's a load of boxes coming in of different colours. We determine what colours they are, and then we sort them out into 2 separate conveyors. Yeah, that's what we're doing. This program's called Factory I/O. Have you done it all in the main loop, or did you use deblock? Yeah, not done it in the main loop. I've tried my best to split it up. Might not have done it perfectly, because like I said, I don't know Siemens all that well. But I have done it in a number of different OBs, and I've got a number of different DBs as well. The main actually has very little in it. The main is just resetting everything every time I stop the Factory I/O simulation. It's just kind of putting everything back to default or back to 0 so that I can restart again without it all crashing or anything like that. So we were just looking at the separator conveyor control, which is my OB124. When will I program a VFD? So the problem I have with that AOB is I've got 2 Mitsubishi VFDs. However, and they do have comms on them. You can speak to them over CC link, I think it is. The problem is it's serial. So it's, even though it's an RJ45 connector on it, it's still a serial communication. And you need, like, to do it, Mitsubishi used to sell these, like, I can't remember what they're called. They're like a little box that has a 120 ohm terminator on it. And you fit loads of these little boxes. Like, they loop together, and they have a terminator that you can turn off or on. I don't believe, or at least the manuals lead me to believe, it just won't work unless you've got this little terminator box. And I don't have one, and I can't seem to find one anywhere. So I'm kind of stuck on the programming a VFD using my Mitsubishi ones, unless I can find this little device that they have. I can't remember what they call it. Network couplers. I mean, they call it some sort of coupler over like that. Mitzi and Siemens is horrible to work with when they are together. I didn't find it too bad, but I haven't gone crazy. I've got 2 Mitzi PLCs in my office and a S7-1200. I mean, I got the Siemens on the HMI using Modbus. That was a head scratcher. I don't have a Siemens VFD AUB. Yeah, maybe I'll have to try and find one for cheap. It's expensive buying all these parts, so I don't do it too often. Ingenierio, I can't pronounce your name, I'm sorry, but thank you to follow. Elsol, thank you for the follow. Miss Logical Controls, thank you for the fest gear. Really appreciate that. And just as a reminder, TikTok is doing half price superfans. So if anyone wants to join the superfans, now's a good time because it's half price. Is it Packet Tracer? I'm not sure what you're asking there, Elsol. Gwes as well. Gwes, thank you for the follow. Or Gweki, maybe. Appreciate the follow. Thank you for that. Or you can bypass your VFD by connecting the terminals. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. That was the plan, really, is rather than do it over comms, just do it using an analog input, and I'll use an analog output. I don't think none of my Mitzies have an analog output on them. Maybe the FX2, I've got a card for that. But I do also have a really good PLC. And not a lot of people know about it. I don't think they're that popular, but it's a Schneider PLC. It's called an M172. It's made for, it's kind of marketed for the HVAC market, but it's a genuine PLC. You can do structured text, you can do ladder logic, basically all 5 of the languages. But on that, it has like 4 analog outputs. It has like 4 analog inputs, maybe even more than that. It has a load of digital inputs, a load of digital outputs. It has Modbus. It can do master or client, client or server. It's really good. It's got, I think, maybe like 2 or 3 RS485 ports on it. It's got CAN bus as well, I believe. For like a little compact PLC, it's got a lot in it. So whenever I need to do anything with analogs, when I'm making the videos or whatever, I tend to just use that because it's really easy.
Thanks for the follow.
Lisseri, maybe. Appreciate the follow. Thank you for that. LP, thank you to follow. Carlos, thank you to follow. Appreciate it, guys. Long live Electrotechnics. I'm not sure what that is, Timo. I'm not sure what that is, mate. Okay, so let me continue with the program, how it works. For anyone new that's joined, I'm just going through how I've programmed this to work, which is a sorter, and basically randomized blocks come in. Doesn't matter which color, and then we sort it out between green and blue. So that's what we're going through the program of. Okay, so at push rate, yeah, we discussed that one. So next, we basically have the same again. So the first 3 networks are for conveyor 1, and networks 4, 5, and 6, I imagine, are for conveyor 2. What's on network 7? That's basically just a status bit for the previous conveyor, so that it knows if there's any block present on this conveyor, don't put any more. Sorry about that. Don't put any more blocks on this conveyor. Basically, if there's anything in this position or this position, stop this conveyor so it doesn't try and feed more boxes on. Or blocks, whatever they are. They look, I think they are boxes, but I keep calling them blocks. Percocet, this is called factory I/O. But for analogs 4 to 20 milliamp, you just need to use them for longer distances. 0 to 10 volt works. Yeah. What I'm saying is, with that M172 PLC is it has multiple 4 to 20 milliamp outputs and inputs, and they can also be 0 to 10 volt. So that, and it's not expensive either. It's really not expensive PLC, so it's a good one to get. But I've never seen anyone use them. I've never seen them anywhere before. I don't know how popular they are, even though they're Schneider. Is there anyone programming ladder in 2025? You'll find there is tens of thousands of people programming in ladder in 2025. It's still by far the most popular PLC language in industry. I'm assuming you don't. That's what I'm assuming by your comment. I know ladder better than any other language, so that's why I've done it this way. But next week, so next weekend, this is a good time to say it. Currently, I've got a PLC programming challenge on the go. If you want any information or if you want to join, it's totally free. You just need to join my Discord. The link is in my bio on TikTok. I've put together a sequence of operation. I've put together a drawing. I've put together all the I/O. And basically described how it should work. Your job as part of the challenge is to program it, to program a PLC to make that sequence work. And as part of that, I've mostly finished mine. I mean, I showed it a few nights ago. I haven't actually done anything with it since then. But I've done that using a number of different languages just to kind of showcase, I guess, really how the different languages work. So my submission as part of that challenge will be done in a few different languages. But everyone's welcome to use any language they want. Alex, I agree. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with ladder. You just get some people that just don't like it because it's been around for a while. I think that's it. Or it's a little bit different to like IT application programming and stuff like that. Never heard of the PLC of Schneider. I think I'll check. Is it like Arduino Opta? It's a little bit bigger than the Arduino Opta. It's called an M172. It's a Schneider PLC. Yeah, the Zelios are smart relays. This is an actual PLC. It's marketed for the HVAC market, so doing like pumps and air handling and stuff like that. So there's like loads of inbuilt function blocks in it for that, but you can program it as a pure PLC. But it has like a shit ton of I/O on it, as in maybe like, I don't know, 8 digital inputs, 8 digital outputs, 6 to 8 maybe even analog inputs and analog outputs. It's got a lot. Then it's got all the communications and stuff on it. It's a good PLC and it's not very expensive. Yeah. You do love a good SCL ST program where it's needed, but most. Yeah. I'm totally in agreement with you there, Alex. Use them to their strengths. Avoid them at the weaknesses. Yeah. I try to avoid. I know I've done it in this, but I was kind of struggling with this program. It was pretty. It was tough for me. So if I go back to the colour detection, I try and avoid doing any sort of math in ladder. Although I did do a little bit in this. Can't even remember where I did it now. Maybe it was this entry one. But it was only, I was just doing a modulo. That's all I was doing. I wasn't doing anything crazy. Else I would have probably put. I think you can put a structured text line inside the ladder logic in Siemens. I'm fairly sure I've seen Sedgley control systems do that the other day, which you can do in Mitzi as well. So I would do that in Mitzi. I would have a ladder logic POU or program or OB, whatever you want to call it. I'll do that in ladder logic, but then I'd put in a structured text line and do my math in there and that sort of thing. It is €300. Yeah, I got mine second hand day up. Yeah, I got mine second hand and it was barely over 100. And I got the one without the display, which makes it even cheaper. You don't need a display in a PLC. I don't know why they do stuff like that. Fun fact, in TIA Portal you can add an SCL network inside. Yeah, so that's what I was just talking about, Alex. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. I did see Sedgley Controls do that the other day. Right click the network and click add. I might not be able to do it in monitor mode, but oh yeah, insert SCL network. Yeah, that's interesting. I like stuff like that because the majority of my logic would be in ladder. I use function block sometimes, but the majority would be in ladder. And anytime I want to do any calculation or anything like that, any scaling, I tend to use structured text for that because it's just way easier. But I don't really use structured text for anything else. So I know you can use like they're pretty good for case statements and stuff like that. I don't really do stuff like that. I'd rather just do it in ladder. Personally, that's just me. Oh, right click on the title. No, I did see it, to be fair. It was, I think even if I right click on there, it is there. SCL network. It's good that you can do that. I do like that, yeah. I've got a project at uni on counters that I have to program in PLC and do in ladder. Suggestions. I think I've got a counter in here somewhere. There's not a lot going on with it. So that's just an up counter. And basically what that's doing is every time one of these boxes crosses over the pusher exit sensor, we're counting basically how many boxes have gone past and then putting it on a little display. So I've had 15 blue boxes and 25 green boxes pass by. And that's all done by this. So I've got a one shot. Basically every time that sensor, every time the box hits the sensor, it does basically a rising edge trigger for one scan cycle. It'll just add 1 to the counter. The PV, I've just set that out of the way. I've set it to maximum. I don't ever want this to give an output. I don't really care. All I care about is the actual current value, which is what I'm putting on that meter. Please tell me, what do those two normally open contacts do in parallel? What is the outcome? I can't even remember where it was, mate. Was it on this one? Maybe? Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, so just to go back to that. Counters, they're pretty straightforward, to be fair, mate. I know they're like a basic thing you need to learn at the start. And if you're still learning, that's fine. They do exactly what you expect them to do. You give them, and this is something you do want to do. So every time you do a counter, you either want it to be a pulse counter, as like a rising edge contact. So either a P or an N. So that's a negative edge contact. That's a positive edge contact. You either want that there, or you want to put in a P trig or an N trig, I think they are. Which basically means for one scan cycle, that contact is given a logical true on that input to count up. If you don't do that, if you, like, say you tie a physical push button, if you have a push button, if you tie that to that counter up, the length of time that you're pushing in that push button, the PLC has even if you're super quick and it's in you just quickly dab it, that PLC scan has gone round about 14, 15, maybe 20, maybe even 100, maybe 1,000 times, depending on what PLC you got. So for every scan cycle that your finger was on it, no matter how quick it was, that counter's just increased. And you might end up with a crazy big number, even though your finger was on that button for like 50 milliseconds. So you do need to have like a positive edge or a negative edge or a P trig in here, just so that when it goes true, it only does it for one scan cycle, and you just get a 1 added rather than 1,000 or 516 or whatever, however many scans it's had.
Thanks for the follow.
There's been a few follows. I apologise, I'm not caught up with them. Cobber75, thank you for the follow. Jeffrey, thank you to follow. SNS, thank you to follow. Harrison, thank you to follow. Zero, thank you to follow.
Thanks
Edwin, thank you to follow. Boru, thank you to follow. And Takeo, thank you to follow. Teach me automation, master. I'm no master, mate. I'm learning every day. Yeah, I'm still learning myself. Yeah, that was counters. To be fair, I forgot where we were even at. I think we were at the separator one.
Thanks for the follow.
We were basically just talking about the running of the two conveyors, the second two conveyors. So we've talked about the first two. We've talked about the color sensing. We've talked about the control panel. And we've just finished talking about these two conveyors here, the control of them. NASA, thank you for the follow, appreciate it. What PLC do I suggest to get started with? I would say that answer depends on where you live. Try and start with the PLC that's most popular in your area. If you are from the US, that would be Allen Bradley or Siemens. I think Siemens is still pretty big over there. If you're in the Europe, it's probably hands down Siemens, to be fair. If you're over in Asia, it's maybe Mitsubishi or Omron, maybe. It depends on your area. You want to learn the one that gets used in industry around you. Utah Monkey, it wasn't, mate. It was Siemens. It was Siemens TIA Portal. That's what this is. So this is for programming Siemens S7 1200 or S7 1500 PLCs. What application is this? Is called Factory IO, this simulation software that you're seeing. So I've basically been talking about... So last night I did a live stream where I attempted to program this. I failed miserably. I couldn't get it working. My head wasn't computing how I needed it to work. So yeah, it was a miserable failure. I didn't get it working. What I did today, earlier on today, I spent about 3 hours probably programming this, and that might sound like a lot to someone who does this every day. You might program this in 20 minutes, but this isn't the kind of work that I do, so it's different for me. I'm still learning this stuff, but I found it really interesting. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I got it working. I've managed to program it. It is sorting out my boxes into the right sides. So at the minute it looks a bit odd because greens are on one side, blues are on the other, but they actually spawn in, they generate in random colours. And what I need to do is basically sort them out into the 2 conveyor lines. You program conveyor in large warehouse automation, you'll figure out it comes with time. Yeah, that's it. I mean, like I say, I don't actually work with this stuff in my day job. I work in power generation. I design control panels for power generation. I design LV switchboards. I don't do factory automation. So, but this is interesting. The reason I've started to do the factory I/O stuff is because I want to learn more about Siemens programming. I'm still very new to Siemens. I'm a Mitsubishi programmer. I'm a Schneider programmer. That's kind of what I use at work. And I don't really use Siemens, but it is very big in every industry almost, seems to be like. So I wanted to pick it up. I wanted to learn a bit more about it. And Factory I/O works real well with Siemens. So
thanks for the follow.
How much is the license? It depends what license you get. If you just want to program S7 1200 PLCs, which is basically what I'm programming here, you only need the basic license, which is a couple of hundred maybe. If you want to program S7 1500s, which is their bigger range of rack-mounted PLCs, it's thousands. Yeah, thousands. Ollie Lane, thank you to follow. Noah, thank you to follow. Devil of D, thank you to follow. Appreciate it, guys. Your company uses Allen Bradley ladder logic to run your industrial gas turbines. Ah, interesting. So that's similar work to what I do. I don't do so much with the gas stuff, but PLC wise, it seems to be all Siemens where I work. Siemens or Mitsubishi. I guess there's a bit of Schneider as well, but we tend to do that for more the switchgear side. But the Allen Bradley, we do come across that every so often on hydro. So a lot of the hydro turbines in this country, the UK, mate. Yeah, I'm from the UK, Cosmin. Yeah, a lot of the hydro stuff's Allen Bradley. But I don't really work with that too much. Oil and gas and power generation. Yeah, it sounds like you probably do a similar thing to me, to be fair, mate. I don't really do the gas turbines. I do the diesels, do the hydro, battery energy storage, that sort of thing. Solar turbines. Yeah, I mean, I'm not from the US, so I'm not sure. I'm not aware of the company. Right. Let me finish off the rundown of what I put in the program. I'll pause it as well because it's quite annoying to listen to. So yeah, Siemens, TIA Portal. We've basically finished talking about these 2 conveyors here. This conveyor and this conveyor. So there's 4 conveyors. There's entry conveyor 1, entry conveyor 2, conveyor 1 and conveyor 2. The last thing that we haven't spoke about is the pushers themselves. So these extending rams, these arms that push the boxes across. A brand new Siemens S7 1200 you can get for €150. Yeah, they're not expensive at all, to be fair. The software, if you just want to stick with the 1200s, isn't that expensive. Couple of hundred.
Thanks for
and the PLCs themselves, if you get the lower end ones, they're not that expensive either. Shrubs, this is your day job. You might be able to show me a few tips then, because this was a struggle for me. I couldn't get this working last night, and it took me about 3 hours earlier to get it working. I've got it working now. I was trying to go down the sequencer route, trying to do everything as a sequence. You know, move a 1 into a register. Do some stuff, then move a 2 into it and just sequence through it, but it just wasn't working for me, so I binned that off in the end. Right, let's go to the final thing we haven't talked about, the pusher control. So if there is a block present on the conveyor belt itself, then that goes true. If there isn't a reset, so I mean, you can basically ignore this reset one, that's just to do with factory I/O. Every time I press the stop button, I just want everything to delatch. That's all that's there for. So if there's a block present on conveyor 1, or and a block hasn't been pushed over, a blue one pushed over, then we need to just remember what the last colour was. If it was a 4, which is green, and we haven't pushed the green over, then we need to push the green over. That's basically what that's doing. Just to go back a step, if the colour was 1, which is a blue, then we don't do anything, we just let it pass on by. You're worldwide, you have an office in Aberdeen and one in Berkshire. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. Solar turbines. I don't know. They're potentially... Like I say, it's probably because I don't work with the gas turbines. Maybe that's why I don't know.
Thanks for the follow.
Could you simulate a label scanner in Factory.io? I don't think you can do label scanners, but I did see earlier that they have... I mean, it's not quite the same thing at all, really, but they have an RFID scanner. So, yeah, you can do some RFID stuff. Maybe you could work it in a similar fashion. I don't really know. Yeah, Division of Caterpillar. Well, I've heard of Caterpillar. Definitely heard of them. Caterpillar, Cummins as well. We do a lot of work with Cummins. They're a big American company. The hot salt that turns water into steam. With hot salt. No, I think he's on about gas turbines that are the brand Solar. I think that's what he's saying. I almost feel like I have heard of them now, but I'm not 100% sure. The company I used to work for used to manufacture turbines, but by the time I'd started there, they'd kind of stopped doing that. But I don't think they were solar turbines. I feel like they were Taurus or something. They had some sort of name like that. Yeah. Yeah, just to go back then. So, yeah, I've discussed that. Basically, if there's a block present and it's a green block, then we push it over. If it's a blue block, we just let it run by. And that's all to do with this side here, this conveyor. So if it's a blue, we just let it run by because it's already in the correct lane. If it's a green block, we need to push it over to the other side. That's what that bit of logic's doing there. And again, like I've said with all the other ones, because there's 2 conveyors, 2 sensors, 2 pushers, all the logic's kind of doubled up. I should have probably put it in a function block, but it was difficult enough as it was, so I never bothered. So that's why this one looks almost identical to the other one, because this is actually for the other side. If a green block was there, it would just let it pass by. If a blue block was there, it would push it over to the other side. Yes, Utah Monkey. My old company used to build, or maybe not a build, but assemble them. I think they used to buy them in and assemble them as a package. But it was kind of before, because I recognised the Mars and the Taurus. They used to, they used to buy them in, assemble them into a package, and then go and install them and commission them. But it was a bit before my time, so I only ever really seen them, the ones that were in for repair. What if each side has the other colour block? Who has priority? I've done it as a changeover, Jamie. So the simplest way, because this was melting my brain last night. That's what I was trying to think. I was like, how do I work with this when I've got 2 parallel blocks? How do I decide which one I want? And the easiest way I found to do that was just to make a changeover function, basically. I think it's my entry conveyor. I did discuss this earlier, but I'll go over it again, because you get new people in and out all the time. No, it's not in there. Maybe it's in this OB. Not there either. Maybe it's this one. I'll know it when I see it because it has the modulo in it. Maybe I just wasn't looking in the right place. Ah, sorry, it's there. It's there. So the way I decided which one had priority and which one didn't is I just increased the counter every time there was a block present. If that and I divided that count by 2. So if the number was 9, I divide it by 2, but I'm only looking at the remainder. In the case of 9 divided by 2, the remainder would be 1. And using that 1, I just turn a bit off and on. If it's 8 divided by 2, the bit 0, then I don't turn the bit on. And that just provides a changeover. So it's either left, right, left. Every time it counts, it's just swapping. And that was the easiest way for me to do it. Do I know any simulation environments for power substations? I don't use or users. Because that would be pretty good for me, actually, as well, in work. Yeah, I don't, unfortunately. They are all AB controllers now. Oh, Solar has a Taurus turbine version. Oh, there's 2 people in here that know the Taurus turbines. So they all just use Allen Bradley now. I mean, like I say, I don't know what they used to use. All I know is the company I used to work for used to buy them in, either containerize them in some way or whatever they did, I don't know, or just put all the auxiliary systems around them, then go to site, install them and commission them, and not sell them off as their own, but yeah, they just used to buy them. The same way like you would with, I don't know, a Cummins genset. You would buy that in, but then you would maybe build your own fuel system for it and all that sort of thing. What do I think about FT optics? I'm not sure what that is, buddy. Yeah, I'm not sure. Nunez, thank you for sharing the live. Nihilus, thank you for the follow. Let me go back. Rodrigo, I think, did I say you or not? Thank you for the follow, appreciate it. Adam M, thank you for the follow. We've caught up.
Thanks for the follow.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Johan, thank you for the follow.
Thanks
EV, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it, guys. Why even program such legacy code? Just use ST.
Thanks for the
I prefer ladder over ST. There's nothing wrong with ladder. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. What is this even about? If you've just joined, it's all about the programming of this sorting device. I need to press my start button, and then basically this conveyor sorts out blue down here, green down here, and that's what the program's all about. Oh, new HMI design. Yeah, I don't really work with Rockwell, to be fair, mate. I don't do much. Well, in fact, I don't use Rockwell at all. I don't use any Allen Bradley, so I don't really know much about it. Callum Jones, thank you to follow. Appreciate it, mate. Thank you. I'm a mechanical engineer, but deal more with telemetry stuff or HVLV stuff. Nice, nice. Just had an interview for a position as a PLC engineer. Oh, good luck for that, Vanko. I hope you get it, buddy. Yeah, so Jamie, what sort of stuff do you do with a HVLV? I guess it's the mechanical side, installing transformers and stuff like that. Zerus, thank you to follow. Appreciate it, mate. The ladder is such undense information. It is more error prone than ST. Any moose, I think that's probably just your opinion, mate. I'll be honest. There's nothing wrong with ladder. It's been around a while, but it's got its whole purpose in life is to enable electrical engineers, electrically biased people to program, which is what it's always done, and it's the way it's always been. It's probably the way it's always gonna be. I know ST has come around, and a lot of guys who did like computer science and stuff like to use ST. I mean, even electrical engineers and stuff would like to use ST. I'm not knocking it in any way, but there's nothing wrong with ladder either. In Europe, American companies like Lilly, Mars, they use both Rockwell and Siemens. I don't know who Lilly is, I'll be honest. Mars is in like the chocolate company, or you know, candy company, I guess it's called in America. Shadow Steps, thank you to follow, appreciate it. Ladder will never die. I know it won't, and I'll die on this hill that ladder's perfectly fine. It's his legacy from relays. It's been it's evolved much further on from just relays. I know you get. I guess you're seeing it and thinking, you know, that's a relay and stuff, but you can't do counters with relays. You can't do modulo calculations with relays. Or maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe someone very clever can. But it's evolved since the day it was incepted as ladder logic. It's, you know, it's come on since then. So it doesn't just do that anymore. I'm a electrical technology student, but I want to work my way up. Good for you, SG. Keep going, mate. Keep going. Ladder is such an easy PLC logic, but it's the easiest for anyone. That's it, John. Exactly that. It has its place as a very easy barrier to entry into programming, I would say. It's, well, particularly if you come from like an electrical background and you know relay logic and stuff like that. It definitely is. It's a graphical language. If you know electronics, if you do a lot of digital electronics, then function block diagram might be the way to go. You know, that might be the one that you tailor. You know, you're suited to it most. If you come from like a computer science background, of course ST is probably going to be the one you go for because it's text based. It's just whatever you're used to, whatever you've grown up to learn and stuff like that. But yeah, you understand. You use them all exactly. Every one of them have their own strength and weakness, and the idea that you can only use one or use one over another, it doesn't really hold up. I don't feel like. I feel like you use them all to their strength. You avoid all of them at their weaknesses. That's just my opinion, though. Oh, Lilly is a pharmaceutical company. They produce insulin. Yeah, Mars the chocolate company. Yeah, I don't know Lilly. I guess I don't really work in that industry. Yo, thank you for sharing the live, mate. I appreciate that. You'd rather use FBD than ladder. Yeah, exactly, Shadow Steps. Like, everyone's different. Everyone's totally different. The main thing is your customer doesn't mind what you use. Because sometimes they say, no, it has to be programmed in this because our maintenance guys only know this. And if you program it in, like, say, for example, they say you have to program it in ladder. You try and program it in structured text. Their maintenance guys don't know anything about structured text. If they have to get a different sensor or they have to, you know, they modify the plant in any way, they're not going to be able to maintain their own equipment. So sometimes, quite often actually, you will find they specify it has to be done in this or this. SG Legacy, thank you for sharing the live, mate. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for the follow.
Primatronica, thank you for the follow. Tim Dean, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you guys. Right, let me finish this off because we're nearly there now. Where did I get to? I was on the pusher control. We talked about the green block and the blue block when they should get pushed. This is a bit of logic to basically tell other parts of the program that the block has been pushed over, and we're basically generating that off when the pusher arm is fully extended. So there's some feedback on the pusher. There's a pusher 2 back, that's when it's fully retracted, and there's a pusher 2 front, that's when it's fully extended. So I'm using that pusher 2 front, or pusher 1 front, depending on which part of the logic we're looking at. Pusher 1 front, actually. We're using that to basically set a bit, and we don't reset the bit until the block has left the area, which is through this sensor here. So once the block has actually fully passed, so once that's gone from true to false, so it was a negative edge, that's when we reset that bit. And it's just basically used in other parts of the logic to say there's no longer a block here anymore, you're fine to bring a new block in. It's more popular to use FBD or ladder. As far as I'm aware, ladder is still the most popular language in existence in terms of PLC programming. I do know that ST is becoming more popular. More and more systems and machines are getting done in ST, but as far as I'm aware, ladder's still king. I have no idea what I'm looking at, but this is cool. Looks like a good paying job. It definitely can be, Mike. Yeah, it definitely can be. Basically, what you're looking at is this is called ladder logic. It's a programming language for programmable logic controllers, basically industrial computers. And that's what you use to control machinery and processes and stuff like that. And that's basically what I'm showing tonight, yeah. What is the software called? So this software, this simulation software you're looking at now is called Factory IO. And the software that you were looking at with the programming on, that's called Siemens TIA Portal, which is PLC programming software. I appreciate the follow. Thank you, Mike. Ladder logic and movie, yeah, very cool. It is cool, it is. That's why I'm doing it on a Saturday night on my day off. I'm streaming it, yeah. But we've got 50 people in at the moment. We've had it's between that and 40, or 40 and 100 all night sort of thing. So there is some interest in this, I think. I personally love programming. I love anything to do with controls, automation, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I live for it.
Thanks for the follow.
Man, I always hated and avoided ladder logic, but I should get to learn it. What do you normally use, Taco? Is there a counter for how many blocks that have been pushed? There is, Jamie, yes, there is. You'll find that on the control panel. So counter 1 is the blue blocks, counter 2 is the green blocks. I did show it earlier in the logic, but I'll just show it again in case you didn't see it. Just this counter here. Counter up, and then we move that counter value, the CV, into this QD here, and that QD is basically directly what feeds this meter. Yeah, and just every time a block goes past either this pusher 1 exit or pusher 2 exit, that's when we increment that counter. Mohammed, thank you to follow, appreciate that. Ethan, thank you to follow. At my plant we have about 3 PLCs and the rest run off from ABB SPE. DCS are better. Yeah, I guess DCS are used a lot in like process automation and stuff like that. You know, it's a distributed system. It's for a much bigger system like a site or something like that, or a large process, rather than small machines like this. You wouldn't use a DCS on a small machine. Do I see any part of AI replacing it? I don't see AI replacing it, but I do see jobs being lost as a result of AI. Because I reckon, in my opinion, AI is going to become a tool no different to, you know, a screwdriver, no different to a hammer, no different to a tractor. It's going to be a tool that someone uses to do more work, and, you know, by its very nature, it's going to allow one person to do the job of 2, 3, 4, 5 people, which means, you know, if one person can do 5 people's jobs, then 4 people will lose their jobs, basically. So I don't see it replacing anybody, because I don't think anyone, you know, any site or machine builder or anything is going to be crazy enough to just wholly trust AI to do programming for them. But I feel like it will be a tool that one person can use to do much more work. That's what I believe, yeah. I guess you enjoy it so much you do it that it doesn't even feel like work. Yeah, I do. I'll be honest, I do. Like, I enjoy my job. I like what I do at work. It never really feels like I'm at work, or it doesn't really ever feel like... I mean, I guess I'm like anyone. I get mornings where I'm tired and I'm just like, I'd rather stay in bed today, but it is what it is. You know, you get up and you go, but I don't ever wake up and think, I hate my job, I want to do something else. I wake up and think, I wonder what today brings. That's how I feel. Can you build building another robot? I couldn't personally, Bone Collector. I couldn't do that because factory automation and stuff like that isn't my bag. You know, that isn't what I'm used to. It's not what I do. I just happened I just want to learn Siemens TIA Portal, and that's the whole reason for doing all this stuff. Even though this isn't really what I do as a living, I'm kind of picking it up. You know, I do stuff similar enough to it. I do program PLCs, just not in the way that these machines require programming. So there's been difficulties, there's been ups and downs, but for the most part I can get there. I do instrumentation and mechanical troubleshooting. Let me run this while I read comments, else you're just going to be bored. You do instrumentation and mechanical troubleshooting at work right now. What's the next progression? I mean, if you're already doing instrumentation and you do the mechanical part, you're kind of doing the best of both worlds, really. I guess the next thing is, in my opinion, you can't work with your hands and your knees for 70, 80 years of your life. So at some point you need to make a plan. I don't know how old you are, but at some point you need to make a plan to have an easier job. And that would usually require going in the office or something like that, because you don't want to be a 68-year-old man on site on his hands and knees. You'll be hurting. You'll be hurting by the time you get to that age. So my opinion would be, you know, my advice would be, depending on how old you are, I don't know, you might be 15 years old, or you might be 20 years old, you might be fine. Look for a position in the office. Design, that's what I do now. Management, that sort of thing. That's like the long-term goal that you want to do when you get a bit older, I feel like. I hope AI takes the boring part of the job. Like, right, 100% we are there, Dommy P. 100 million% we are. If AI can write my control philosophies for me, I'll be happy. If it can do my cable schedules for me, I'll be ecstatic. If it can write all the manuals for me, to be fair, I don't really need to write the manuals, because we have a project manager who does all that sort of stuff, and I just need to give him the yes or the no. But yeah, stuff like that, mate, 100% with you on that. I love your optimism on the AI landscape. I agree, and I hope it stays at all. Yeah, I mean, that's the hope, I guess, isn't it? It might not end up like that. It might just completely replace everything. But a lot of PLC programming, a large part of it, in fact, is to do with safety. You know, if it's a gas environment or something, you need to meet certain standards, SIL and stuff like that. I can't imagine any sort of environment that's hazardous relying on an AI. That's how I feel. So there will be some element that's still human. And same with, I guess, factory automation. You know, you have all your safety relays and you have to program safety PLCs and stuff like that. Stuff like that just wouldn't be allowed to get done by AI. Cable schedules, they're the worst, mate. They're honestly the worst part of the job. Cable schedules. Sometimes I don't mind the control philosophies. Sometimes I don't mind that. If I have to write a control philosophy basically describing how the system is going to work to like a customer in words and with diagrams and stuff, sometimes it could be okay, but a lot of the paperwork, yeah, I'm with you on that, it's not good. 25. How did I get into design? I was a test engineer for 7 or 8 years, and I kind of, during my apprenticeship, so I did an apprenticeship, 5-year-long apprenticeship at the company I used to work at. And throughout that apprenticeship, I was mainly in the test area, testing control panels. But every so often, they would need a little bit of help in the design office. And I was always, I'm pretty good with computers and stuff, so they would get me in. And each time they'd get me in, they'd show me a little bit more of the job. I picked up AutoCAD when I was an apprentice, you know, in the office. I was doing stuff like manuals and stuff and seeing how stuff should work. And I got pretty good at it, and I got, you know, reasonable reputation for being fairly, you know, decent at what I was doing, even though I was only like 18 or something. So I knew the design office, and I kind of knew what it was all about. And after like 7 or 8 years in the test department, it kind of all got a bit samey, got a bit boring. I'd picked up my electrical skills, I picked up my troubleshooting skills, but I was just doing the same thing over and over. So I decided at that point I wanted to go in the office. I wanted to learn more about the design side. And at some point a job came up. I went for it. I didn't get it initially, but then they did give me it later on. And then I got messed around, so I left that company. But I'd been in design a little while by then. So then I left that company and went to a different company doing design, and I've done it ever since. Yeah, that was basically, there's my life story. You think there'll be a lack of controls engineers? I don't know, honestly, mate. I'm not sure. I guess as long as apprenticeships, companies still keep doing apprenticeships, there won't be, but yeah, I don't know, mate. Yeah, I'm not sure. Ken Noel, thank you for the follow, appreciate that. Right, I'm gonna finish off the programming, and then we'll maybe call it a night after that. We'll see. Pusher control, we're nearly at the end, and it's running in the background. I think you can still hear it, or maybe I'll pause it because it can be quite annoying, that noise, after a while. Yeah, so I was discussing, or basically explaining what this logic was all about. That is basically when the arm is fully extended, we set a bit, and then once the blocks pass by the exit sensor, we reset it, and that's just used for some logic elsewhere. Same again for the blue. Like I said, all the green side and the blue side, basically the same logic. They would be, the better way of doing this would be function blocking everything, and you write the code once and you just use the function block twice and give it new parameters each time. That would be the correct way to do it. Conveyor sortation completed. So this was just another status bit used in the logic, in other parts of the logic, to start the conveyor again and stuff. So once the block has been pushed across and the arm's retracted, then it's time to start the conveyor again and get rid of the box out the end. What do you think you'd be doing if you didn't do that job? If I didn't go for that job? A good question, mate. I don't know. I had this conversation with my missus maybe like a few months ago. I have no idea what I'd do if I didn't do engineering. Like literally none. There's not another job in the world that I think I'd like to do that. Apart from, you know, the usual ones. I want to be a footballer or something. I want I want to earn 500 grand a week. That'd be nice, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I can't. There's no job that I think of that I'm like, I really want to do that, or I'd like to do that, or yeah, I just can't think of one. Salary range depends solely on, well, I guess it depends on a number of things, but mostly where you live, what country you're from, what industry you work in. There's loads of variations, yeah. You're a controls engineer in the US, you don't think there's enough of us for the future. You might be right, Colin, to be fair, you might be right. I don't know what it's like in the US, but apprenticeships are the main way in the UK of you know, getting new talent into the field. And they are, I think they're like, there's like grants and stuff, like government grants for companies who take on apprentices to try and boost the amount of people in engineering and that sort of thing. But I know it, like in America, I think it might, I don't know if it's the same or if it's different, but you have like internships and stuff, don't you, where I think you don't even get paid for it or something. I'm not entirely sure, I don't know enough about it, but over here, you do, there's like 2 apprenticeships almost. You do a 3-year apprenticeship where you can sort of stay as a technician, or you can do like a 5-year apprenticeship where you can progress to like an engineer sort of. It's not quite as clear cut as that, it's not as black and white as that, but that's how it kind of worked with me and you know, a lot of the people I know. And as part of your apprenticeship, you get paid a lot less in the first couple of years. You're on like below minimum wage, but you're a young guy at the time, so it doesn't matter, or girl. And you're basically earning as you learn, and then as you get more useful in like year 3, 4 and 5, you start to get to more like the properly trained people's wage, I guess you would say. 5028, thank you to follow, appreciate that. You just moved all your controls team from Schneider to Beckhoff. What was the reason for that, Hampo? What was the reason? I use a lot of Schneider. I like Schneider PLCs, but I've never used Beckhoff, so yeah, it'd be interesting to know why you did that. You currently work now downloading a few code changes to your PLC while scrolling through TikTok. Nice, Christopher. Welcome in, mate. I hope work's going well for you tonight. Hope it's not too hard. Unfortunately, you found this stream, so you're doing work, doing PLC stuff, and watching PLC stuff. I appreciate the follow, Chris. Thank you. Or Christopher. I don't. Yeah. Right. So let me just get to the end of this then. The sortation completed. So basically, that is status for other parts of the logic to say, right, we've pushed the block over now. So this block has been pushed over. The arm has retracted now. It is okay to move this conveyor once more. So that's what that bit of logic was saying. There's a lot of greens coming through. What's the green count? It's still about even. Yeah, it's still about even. I don't know how it determines whether to generate a blue block or a green block. Yeah, and if a green's already on the green side, it doesn't push. If a blue's already on the blue side, it doesn't push. It just lets it straight through. We only push when the wrong colour block is on the wrong side. Colin Davis, thank you to follow. Appreciate that. Ethercat is sick. Good call. I've not used Ethercat. Yeah, I've not really done anything with the Beckhoff stuff. I had a day's training about 10 years ago with a guy from Beckhoff, and I've forgotten about everything and never touched it since. The Beckhoff hardware is a better fit for application. We aren't a systems integrator. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough, mate. Ah, you make BES systems. Oh, that's interesting. I work with a lot of BES systems. So I work in power generation. My sort of day-to-day job is designing control systems for diesel generators, hydro turbines. I do a lot of power management stuff with, I don't know if you know COMAP controllers, like the Neo and stuff. You're an Alan Bradley guy, yeah. I don't know much Alan Bradley either. I know, so my 2 PLC platforms that I know very well, Mitsubishi and Schneider.
Thanks for the follow.
I'm learning Siemens now, and that's kind of the whole point of what I've been doing on TikTok with the lives and stuff. Well, the factory I/O stuff mainly, is trying to just learn a little bit more Siemens, because it's very, very popular where I live, but it's just something I've not really had to do. Yeah, COMAP and Deep Sea and stuff. Yeah, so I design control panels using them all the time. So yeah, we obviously work in adjacent industries, I guess. Yeah, let me pause that again. So the actual pushing now, I've talked about the logic, but this is the wrong that actually sends the signal to the pushing actuator. And we'll basically say when we're good to push the green block based on that logic that was further up. We don't push if we have already pushed, if that makes sense. So when we have pushed the block over, we set a bit to say the block's been pushed over. So we set that bit would be set, and it basically cuts off the pusher. The reason I did that is because I was having at one point where it would push it out and then it would go to retract and it would go to extend again. It would just keep sort of flip-flopping where it was turning off and on. That kind of put a stop to it. We don't push out if the reset simulation bit is on, which is basically me in Factory IO pressing the big square that says stop simulation, because what I want it to do is just reset back to default for everything. Do they have Omron in UK? They do, mate. Yeah, they have Omron. There's a local machine builder near me. I think they do industrial ducting or something like that, or make machines that fold the ducting or something. They use Omron as far as I'm aware. I don't really know too many others that use it, but they are a thing. They're probably as popular as Mitsubishi, which is not very. It's a lot of it's Siemens and Allen Bradley, and that's probably it really. They're the two main ones. You're in Nebraska, USA. You know just a tiny bit of Siemens. Yeah, I was the same, Chris. I knew a bit of Siemens, but I didn't know a lot. So I've been doing the Factory IO scenes, trying to pick it up. I've had a lot of help from the chat. You know, people who have been joining the lives have been pretty helpful with a lot of stuff. I'm getting there with it. I'm getting there. I'm still no professional. Do you ever put two coils in one rung in parallel? I try to avoid it. I do sometimes. I probably have some in here where I've done that. Only really if it makes sense. Have I done that anywhere? I say that and I probably haven't done it anywhere. It's not an unusual thing though. I guess there. I've got a set of one bit and a reset of another, or the other way around. But yeah. Could you show your structure? I currently make my final project at school and struggle organising. My organisation isn't great, I'll be honest. My organisation isn't brilliant, but I can kind of show it. So I haven't got everything in OBs. Is there no way of... hang on a sec. I wonder if I can do this. I don't know how well this is going to work. I feel like maybe if I move it over a little bit more. You see that okay? It's a bit blurry. I'll read it out to you. So I've got, for number 1, I've got the entry conveyor control. For number 2, I've got the separator conveyor control. For number 3, I've got the color detection. For number 4, I've got the pusher control. For number 5, I've got the control panel interface. Then I obviously have the main, but the main doesn't really have anything in it. If I was doing a job at work, I'd probably have one for inputs and one for outputs as well, just so you could see all the inputs and all the outputs on one program, because you might want to do something where you disable all the outputs, or you're doing some commissioning or something. It's just nice to see. I have some data blocks, and basically each data block is just related to the object block that it's in, OB. But like I say, my organisation isn't the best anyway. All good. I use Kients. We're seeing what Japanese brands are there. Yeah, Mitsubishi and Omron. I guess they're the only really two. I don't think Kients is a thing here. I don't think so anyway. Sorry, mate. My day were totally different. So no, Jodski, it's fine, brother. It's fine. No problem. I got it. I don't know if you've seen in the Discord. I got it working anyway. So last night, for anyone who didn't see this last night, I had a total brain meltdown. Couldn't get it working. Couldn't really think of a way to progress it. I feel like I just needed no pressure of the stream. So this morning, sat down, spent about 3 hours doing it. Got it working fine. Yeah. And if anyone wants to know, you know, I have a Discord. I put all these files that I generate from the live streams in the Discord at the end of the live stream. We currently do have a PLC programming challenge going on at the minute, where basically I've put together a description of operation, I've put together a drawing, and I've put together all the I/O that you'll need to program this this particular scenario. It's totally free, it doesn't cost you a penny. All you need to do is join the Discord and download the PDF. I'll be going over all the submissions next week. There's no winners, there's no losers, there's no harsh criticisms. We're not going to tear apart your program or anything like that. Yeah, it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun. You see the alteration going on though. Yeah, so I did do what you suggested. I've been going over this all night, basically, over the program. Where did I put it though? Entry conveyor, I think. Yeah, you put the idea in my head about the counter and the modulo. That works pretty well. I'm then using that remainder to set a bit. Yeah. Appreciate it for following the live. Fran de la Cruz, thank you for the follow. Users, thank you for the follow. Morning Glory, thank you for the follow. Good name. Bob, thank you to follow. Appreciate that. I think I've caught up. What's the software called? This is called Factory IO, mate.
Thanks for the follow. I've missed some. Oh, you do. You put outputs and device. Yeah, Christopher. That's basically what I do as well. If I ever do that, I have two bits doing the same thing, but I'll call them different things and use them in different places. I find that does help simplify things a little bit. You took another 2 hours to fall asleep. You're already thinking it through in your brain. Yeah, last night I was getting stuck on the paralleling thing. How there was 2 conveyors and 2 boxes, and the decision of how do I know when to just send one forward and when to send the other one forward. And your suggestion, to be fair, was the key. Just don't bother selecting one. Just have it change over on every sort of cycle. Every cycle of the logic, just have that change over. And it worked really well. Hi, I appreciate the follow, thank you. And thank you for the heart me as well. Appreciate that. Thank you, mate. Yeah, so I got the conveyor sorted in the end. It's sorting perfectly. I did find, I don't know if anyone does this, by the way, if anyone uses Factory IO, I have had to put it in half speed to get this to work properly. If I put it in full speed, these boxes seem to over travel quite a lot, and it progressively gets worse until it ends up hitting the sensor and it all breaks. If I put it in 4 times speed mode, it will break within the first sort of second or two. I don't know, it's just some sort of physics simulation issue within Factory IO. This is running at 50% speed and it works perfectly fine. HMI DCS SCADA. I'm using a PLC, Siemens S7-1200. It's running PLC sim, so I don't actually have a physical one here. And that's communicating with Factory IO. There's no HMI. It's just a standard control panel with a couple of meter readouts. Very basic stuff. Yeah, that's it. Is this a game? Jakku, it's not a game, mate. It's a simulation tool for industrial automation. Yeah, that's what it is. RS Links. No, it's using Siemens PLC sim. It's a Siemens PLC, so it's not Allen Bradley. How does one configure that speed in Factory IO? So up at the top, there's like this little clock. I don't know if you got... Yeah, you can see that. There's like a little stopwatch. And when you either click it or hover over it, it brings up this bar. And I've basically just put it in 0.5. I could leave it in 1 and it would work for a good while. It might work even forever. But have had it where sometimes the conveyor motor over travels, and it's a physics thing because it doesn't work at a slower speed, and it's like exponentially worse at a higher speed, where it just almost happens instantly. I think it's a Factory IO thing, but yeah, put it in half speed, it works perfect. It'll work forever. Cedric, thank you for the follow, appreciate that. Kelberth, I think, Berhert, thank you for the follow, appreciate it, thank you.
How does it sense the colour? Does it use RFID? It doesn't, mate. No, it uses a vision sensor. And the vision sensor gives a number to the PLC depending on what colour it is. So it will give a 0 if there's nothing there. It will give a 4 if there's a green there. Or it will give a 1 if there's a blue there. And I just basically use that to determine what side it should go down. There's a whole boatload of logic behind it. Scansy, welcome in, brother. You're a PLC programmer too. What PLC platform do you use? Can you put it at normal speed just to see how it breaks? I'll put it at full speed. You can see how quickly it breaks. So you can see it's working perfectly fine. It's counted almost 100 of each type of block. You know, it's been working for ages. The minute I put it at 4 times speed, in fact, I'll put it at 2 times speed, it'll probably break. You see already, it's broken. It's got stuck. The minute it all just falls apart. The physics simulation in it. The minute you put it at a higher speed. Now I can drag that out, and it won't really fix anything. You can try put that one over there. It's just, yeah, I don't know what's up with it. But if I put it at half speed, it works perfectly fine. I'll just restart it. It doesn't start until I press my start button. Yeah, it goes wild. Do you use any script or just ladder logic? Can't speak. Yeah, just ladder logic. It was a hard enough job for me, a hard enough task as it was in ladder logic, and that's my my preferred language. So I wasn't going to go crazy and start putting any other languages in there. I think personally, from what I've seen, this would probably be the best done in Graph. So Siemens have the S7 Graph language. I don't know that language, so I didn't bother trying it, but I imagine it'd be pretty useful for this. TSM, welcome in, brother. Thank you for joining again. How are you tonight? Is the HMI out the box or with the automation software? Is that simulation software? Yeah, so this is simulation software. This all of this is simulation software that you're seeing. It's called Factory IO. This software here is Siemens TIA portal for Siemens PLCs. I've just realised I didn't quite put that in the right place when I moved it. There we go, that's better. Yeah, so that's Siemens PLC software. That's Factory IO. That is basically the Siemens PLC software is talking to Factory IO and controlling these parts. Yeah, and doing all the logic. How long have I been doing this? So I've been in industry for 13 or 14 years now. But I don't work in factory automation. I don't work in that at all. So this is all pretty new to me, this stuff. PLC programming isn't. I've worked with PLCs most of that 13 or 14 years. Where can you get Factory IO? They're from, I think it's like factoryio.com or something. I don't know. Give it a quick Google. It's not free, mate. That's the only problem. You do have to pay for it. I don't do DCSs. No, just PLCs. I do often have to interface with DCSs. But I don't actually program them directly. It's just all PLCs and HMIs. Graph is not really that hard. Basically, visual flow. Yeah, to be fair, I watched Hegemel do... I can't remember what one it was. He done one of these Factory IO scenes, and he made it look easy, and it did look good. It looked like it made it easy for him too. But I just know that it won't be like that. There'll be little bits and bobs that you need to know. And I just don't have the time at the minute to try and pick it up. If I attempt to do something in it, it won't work. It will frustrate me, and I'll probably not finish it. Yeah. Right, I think I've caught up. Hemo, thank you for sharing the live, mate. I've just seen that. Right, so I think I've basically described everything in the program already. So I do have an e-stop which should just shut all outputs down. It won't do anything now. Totally stops the whole entire process. I do need to unclick it. It doesn't reset. That's, a part of the standard is if an e-stop's pressed, pulling that e-stop back out shouldn't restart that system until you press the start button again. So I've done that. I do have a stop button which does basically the same thing almost. It just starts and stops. I have the reset. The reset is, you know, it just resets the counters, resets all the set bits and any counter, any values and stuff that I've got in the program. Do you know why it's braking at full speed? I tracked it down to, so if we just watch this here, you can see the boxes stop around the edge, the end of the conveyor, and it's pretty consistent at half speed. They all kind of stop around the same. So that has come a little bit more forward, this one, but in general they all sort of stop around here. When I go to full speed, that varies a little bit. It can stick out a lot more, and sometimes it sticks out so far that it actually hits the sensor of hits this sensor, which it shouldn't be doing, and basically breaks everything. Yeah, so I can take it out of half simulation mode, and we can kind of see already how far that came out. And this one, yeah, the minute I came out of full speed, it just, yeah, there's a lot more over travel for some reason. I don't know why. Something to do with the physics of factory automation, factory IO, sorry. The actual logic for stopping them boxes is the minute this sensor detects a box there. In full speed, it seems to detect it either too late or it doesn't send the signal quick enough. I don't know really what it is. So yeah, these boxes end up overhanging, and eventually one of them will trip one of these sensors. You know, they will activate the sensor and basically break everything. In reality, if it was, you know, if this was me building this, I would put this beam, you know, this bit of structural steel here, a little bit further back. Also, maybe it could be my programming. Maybe I should stop the conveyor once it gets to the sensor. But again, that's probably just going to over travel. You know, I'm just compounding the issue. I'm taking the issue further downstream. Can't reduce the amount of time that the conveyor runs for. It's not a timer, so I've done this without using any timers. It's all based on actual feedback from the system. So the timer doesn't change because there isn't one. The only thing that changes is how quick or how slow this vision sensor gives the signal that there's a block underneath it. It's a physics thing. You see, they've gone back now. They're perfect again now that I'm half speed. They never really overhang very much, if ever. So yeah, it's a factory IO issue. Probably could fix it with script or something. I don't think so, because you'd have to anticipate a block coming under the sensor before it's actually got under the sensor. Yeah. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's a simulation. Running at half speed makes it work fine. Running at full speed, it's a little bit iffy. It does work, but eventually I have had it where like it's done 100 counts and then it'll just all of a sudden break. Yeah. What program is this? This is called Factory IO, mate. What software is this? Yeah, Factory IO. It's simulation software for industrial automation and PLC programming and that sort of thing. Yeah. Maybe add logic to the sensor to 2 jobs. One fast for checking a product to stop at the conveyor. Is it the Siemens edition? It's Ultimate Edition I've got, Fran. Yeah, the Ultimate Edition. So I've got all the drivers. I think the only difference between them is the drivers that you can use. I think I can basically use all of them. There is like in the basic version, I did see there's like a PLC editor within Factory IO. So you can't externally connect to other PLCs, but there's like its own editor. I've not used that yet. I've not really I've not done anything with it. I don't even know how you get to it, so maybe that's worth looking at some point. It's the Ultimate Edition hype, yeah. It's expensive, it's not a cheap software. Add a sensor on the other side for creep, then stop. Yeah, I mean, I could add sensors. Like I say, I could, you know, what I would actually do is just move this stuff back. But this is like this is a scenario, this is a scene that the makers of Factory IO put together themselves. So I don't really want to go and start editing it and stuff like that. I'll just live with it how it is.
maybe it is just me. Maybe it's my programming or something. It doesn't look to be it, because I'm literally just stopping it when it gets under the sensor. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm not too fussed about it. Do you know how to wire all this and address it correctly? I don't need to address it. So when it comes to this screen here, Factory IO have already put in all the addressing. I mean, if you're building your own, you would know what addressing you want. You just, as you built it, you just pull your tags in. But I don't need to with the pre-built ones, because I just tick. There's a little box down here. You probably can't see it. There's a box to basically export the tags, and then I can import them into Tier Portal. Physically, yeah, I mean, I'm alright at wiring. I don't. My wiring's not the neatest. I was never a wireman. I was a test engineer. But yeah, I'm a design engineer. I can, I know all about sensors and wiring stuff up and actuators and stuff like that. I probably could. I feel like I could. It isn't what I do, but I probably could. Nice. You work for Omron. Oh, nice. I've not used Omron, so yeah, I can't really comment on how good or bad Omron is, but I'm sure you can tell me how good they are if you work for them. I know a lot of machine builders and stuff use Omron. Is this good software to show your work as a portfolio? It's a good question. I would say it definitely is better than nothing. If you don't have much on your portfolio, you don't have much experience or anything, you would be picked over someone who doesn't have Factory IO stuff in their portfolio, I would say. It shows willing. It shows you're willing to try, learn, and if you've got, if you've done some of these scenes successfully, you've got a little bit of skill about you, you've got some talent, you know what you're doing with PLC programming. So yeah, I don't see how it would harm it. I've never heard of it, but like anyone doing that, but I don't see why it would never be a bad thing, I wouldn't have thought. Well, if you stop the belt right away, it might skid due to the momentum of the box. Yeah, I don't get a control over. I'm literally, this is a digital motor. I'm turning it on, and I'm turning it off. Think of it as a direct online starter. There's no control over the motion of it. It's either on or it's off. And the minute I'm turning the signal off to the motor, the minute I stop running the motor, well, it must be this red line. It's whenever the box is detected by the sensor. And at full speed, that over travel seems to be quite far. And in reality, it should be the exact same. Like, obviously, you can't change the speed in reality, time. But the software should replicate normal time versus half time. It shouldn't change, but it does, apparently. Industrial networking. There's no industrial networking in this, mate. No. It's literally just, there's conveyors, and you can make a full factory. If you ever look on YouTube, there's people that have built entire factories, like huge, enormous, like filled the entire space of this warehouse with a factory. I can, although I didn't build this, there's no reason why I couldn't build my own. You can pull in blocks and you can bring in machines. There's a CNC machine and a robot arm and stuff. You can build your own stuff in this. I just chose not to. I just use the pre-built scenes. Also, I like to use the pre-built scenes because at the end of every stream, I upload all these files to my Discord. So if anyone's got the softwares, they can play along at home. They can see how I did stuff. The app is Factory IO. Chavi, I think, Chavi98, thank you for the follow. William, thank you for sharing the live, mate. Toucan Audio, thank you for the follow. Not inverter involved. Yeah, there's no inverters. This is direct online starting. Yeah. Connor93, welcome in, mate. How are you tonight? Randy Romero, thank you for the follow. What application is it? It's called Factory IO. App similar, maybe better, but is by Nurtec, cheaper too. Who was it? Someone was in the Discord earlier talking about another app. Easy Sim or something, was it? Machine simulation. It looked very similar to Factory IO. I had not seen it before. Yeah, it looked pretty good.
And it might even be cheaper. I don't know. I don't know much about it. Don't ask questions that I can't ask. I can't answer, Jotsky. Yeah. I got it the same place most people get it who do it as a hobby. How much for subs? I don't know what you're asking there, mate. Is it a game? It's not a game, no, it's a simulation software. It's an industrial simulation software for practicing PLC programming. I should get a script. I should have a script that I just put the same answer to every question. Is it possible to add I/O of a running machine like a digital twin? Probably is. I don't know. I've never actually tried it. No, it couldn't be running because you have to stop the simulation to add parts. So it couldn't be running, no. So this kind of thing that I'm showing now is a hobby. I don't do this kind of work. I work with in power generation. So I work with diesel generators, hydro turbines, big solar inverters, battery energy storage. I do that sort of work. So I don't do factory stuff. I do power generation stuff. Is it subscription? You can do either. You can do either. If you buy the full application, like buy the perpetual license, the lifetime license, it's pretty pricey. I mean, the subscription is pretty pricey as well. But you can do either, and there's multiple editions. FCO, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Josh Moore, this is what I'm getting into. Yeah, it's interesting stuff, mate. It's not what I do at work. This is all pretty new to me, but it's interesting. I've enjoyed it. I've mainly started doing this just so I can learn Siemens, to be fair. It's called Factory I/O. Is there any automation on your line of job? Yeah. So you need to, generators don't start themselves. Hydro turbines don't start themselves. You need a way of automatic starting. Hydro turbines more often than not don't generate their own supply. So you need to synchronize that hydro turbine. When it is synchronized, you need to then control the power output of that hydro turbine. If you have multiple sources of supply, you need to synchronize them all together. You need to load share them correctly. There's an absolute ton of automation involved in power generation. Do I think there's any future improvements in Factory I/O? Honestly, I don't know. I've only used this software for about 3 or 4 weeks. I'm no expert in Factory I/O whatsoever. Yeah. It does get updates. It does, Jordsky. It does. I don't know how often that is. Like I say, I've only probably used this for about a month or less. And I only really touch it on the live streams as well. A lot of people find it quite interesting. It's visual, very visual. So PLC programming, as much as I love it and as much as I find it fun, it can be a bit stale for some people. So, if I just sat on this screen and talked about stuff, I've tried to mix it up tonight by explaining what I've done and showing what it does. If I just sat here looking at this all night, I'd bore myself to sleep probably, never mind everyone else. Is there a PID? Not in this one, Hamza. I did do a PID 2 weeks ago, I think, on a tank scene. I've got a couple of videos on it. If you look on my profile, they're on there. So the logic practice helps build muscle memory. Yeah, 100%. Like, the more you practice, the more you understand and learn. And once you've got the foundations nailed down, you'll be more accepting to experimenting and trying different things and learning more and getting better and getting faster. And if you do this as a job, that just means more money. You're doing more jobs, you're earning more money, you're doing better. If you work for a company, you're becoming better than your peers. You're doing, you're going to get pay rises and stuff like that. So, yeah, practicing is never a bad thing. So automation involved in a lot of fields in electrical. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's automation in so many different things. Yeah. But yeah, just staring at the tier portal screen all night doesn't do anyone any good. So I need to mix it up with the factory IO. And it is, the thing I really like about it is I don't do this sort of thing, so I don't really know how these things are programmed. I don't really know how they should work. So it's all kind of a big learning curve for me. It's all a big learning experience.
Thanks for the follow.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night, weren't we, Connor? Traffic lights are like the go-to for learning PLC programming. The changed. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. So, guys, I'm probably going to wrap it up there, I think. I've been on the live stream for 2.5 hours now. I'm not one of these guys who can sit here all night and waffle. And yeah, I think I've reached my peak. So, if anyone wants to do any PLC program, like if anyone wants to challenge themselves, if anyone wants to do any learning, I do currently have a PLC programming challenge on the go. I've designed basically the scenario. I've put together a description of operation. I have done a drawing. I've laid out all the inputs and outputs. I've even suggested the software that it could be done in. I mean, there is 4 softwares that I kind of require. It has to be one of them 4 so that I can see it. But 2 of them are free. So even if you don't have a PLC or don't have any software, 2 of the softwares that I've listed are totally free. All you need to do is join my Discord. The link is in my bio on TikTok. Just click on my name and the link is there. Totally free, doesn't cost a penny. It's just a bit of fun. There's no winners, no losers. It's just really to practice programming. In a week's time, I'll be going over a lot of the submissions and we can see how different people do it. We can learn from that. We can all kind of learn together, I guess. So yeah, if you want to partake in that, join the Discord. There's a channel called PLC Challenge and you can just download the PDF from there. Me, thank you to follow. Rocket, thank you to follow. Lewis, thank you to follow. And Philippe, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it, guys. Counter from Nigeria, just training on industrial automation control systems. Nice to change. Welcome in, brother. Thank you for following. To get the PDF, you'd need to join the Discord. The link is in my bio, so if you just click on my TikTok name, it'll take you to my page, my TikTok page. Under my bio, so underneath my profile picture, there will be a link. It will say linktree something. You click on that, it will show you all my social media. On there will be the Discord. You click the icon in the top right, the Discord, can't speak, the Discord icon, and it should take you straight to my Discord. Burkina Faso, nice. Welcome in, brother. Glad to have you. Scancy, thank you for the follow. Kaj, thank you for the follow. Yeah, so I'm probably going to call it a night there, guys. Yeah, appreciate everyone who's liked. Mark, thank you. You're up there high again, mate. Your fingers must be hurting. Gilles, I still quite don't know how to pronounce your name, but thank you for them likes. Mark again, thank you on the other side. So I've that leaderboard side now. Jordski, thank you. I appreciate everyone joining tonight. I appreciate everyone who's commented and asked questions. Probably be live tomorrow again, I think. Not sure what I'm going to do yet. I've kind of finished this scene now. I'm happy that it works and it's done. Might start another one, might not. We'll see. I'm not sure what I'll do tomorrow. But I'll be on from about 8:30ish UK time. And I say ish because I haven't made 8:30 once in the past like 5 days. So yeah, thank you everyone who's joined. Thank you everyone who's followed. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow if you can catch the live stream tomorrow. Numzid, thank you to follow. Lookman, thank you to follow. 00, thank you to follow. I'm from the UK, mate. I'm from the UK. Yeah. Yeah, take it easy, guys. And I'll see you tomorrow if you can make it.